The UK property market is a mess, big mess. But will taxing the rich help first-time buyers and help fix the UK housing market? Rents are high, property prices are high, and many people suggest that taxing the rich will help fix the UK housing market. But the real question is, could that make it worse? So today we're going to look at whether increasing taxes on landlords, developers, property investors will really help first-time buyers, or just drive up rents, reduce the amount of investment in property, and damage the economy. Before we dive in, let me know in the comment section, should we tax the rich more to fix the housing crisis? Or is the real problem something else? So with the rise of people like Gary Stevenson and other forms of media, there is this big conversation about taxing the rich will fix the inequality levels across the UK. There's this belief that landlords and property investors are hoarding properties and driving up property prices. And the idea is if we tax the rich, that will fix the market. So let's discuss some of the proposed taxes. One of the proposed taxes is for higher capital gains tax. So right now, capital gains tax, if you are a basic rate taxpayer, is 18% when you sell a property. And if you are a higher rate taxpayer, it's 28% when you sell a property. By increasing the capital gains tax, the idea is it will slow down and stop people from buying properties with the intention of flipping them or just selling them for profit. And ideally, it's believed that it will force more properties to stay on the market. Then there's conversations about a wealth tax, and then conversations about higher stamp duty taxes for investors. So already investors pay a 3% surcharge, but some people believe this should be significantly higher as a means to stop investors from bulk buying or buying every property on the market. In theory, it sounds great, more tax revenues, lower house prices, but that's just in theory. Practical sense, it doesn't work. Here are some of the problems. When you overtax wealth creators, they're not just going to sit there and accept it and say, okay, tax me. Without looking at the full picture, could make things significantly worse for renters or first-time buyers. Well, number one, look, how would the rich, wealthy, or landlords react to a higher tax? When a landlord or an investor buys a property, it's with the sole intention of making sure their investment works. So if landlords are hit with higher taxes, they will find a means to pass on those taxes to tenants, which therefore equals higher rents. So the people that you're trying to help will become victims of higher rents because landlords have to find a way to recoup the loss. So in 2015, the government introduced Section 24 of the Finance Act. That was with the intention of slowing down landlords of buying and accumulating lots of properties. But what we saw in response to that was an increase in rental prices. Less properties on the market, greater demand, less supply, increased rental prices. So the system by which is designed to help first-time buyers and renters actually penalizes them because landlords will find a way to pass on the cost to tenants via an increased rent. In 2004 by itself, according to the ONS, the Office of National Statistics, rent in the UK rose by 8%. More taxes will lead to higher rents. Is this a game we genuinely want to play? Number two, well, less investments. That would lead to fewer homes on the market. Now, I know some people argue that if landlords don't buy the properties, then first-time buyers will buy the properties, but that's also incorrect. If the UK market becomes too hostile for investors to handle, they will simply take their money elsewhere. They will go and invest in less hostile environments, in more tax-friendly environments, in more landlord-friendly environments. And who loses out? Because right now, landlords are responsible for providing accommodation for nearly 50% of the rental market. Countries like Dubai, Portugal, they are already benefiting from landlords and investors leaving the UK market and investing their money in more friendlier markets. With fewer investors in the market, there are going to be fewer rental properties on the market. 50% of renters, that's 4.6 million renters in the UK, rely on private landlords for accommodation. So is taxing landlords the way to fix this? Number three, the truth is wealthy people are just not going to sit there and take it. They're not just going to say, okay, well, the government wants to tax me, here's the money. The reality doesn't work like that. They will find loopholes. Higher taxes doesn't always mean or equal more revenue. Wealthy individuals will just pay very creative accountants to restructure their finances, move some of their assets offshore, or just use legal loopholes to reduce their tax bill. If we look at France tried to introduce a wealth tax. It led to lots of millionaires leaving the country, which cost the French economy billions of pounds in revenue. So it's not as simple as tax the rich. What are the true solutions that will help and appease everyone? Now, I understand it's not easy to appease everyone, but let's have a discussion on some of the things that might make things easier for all parties. We have to build more. We've got to increase house building. This is one of the biggest issues. The UK has a supply issue. We've got a huge demand, but a massive supply issue. And that's not a landlord problem. That's governmental. We need to build at least 300,000 new homes every single year to meet the demand. But in 2022, 2023, 2024, we barely touched 250,000 homes. We need less red tape. We need planning permission to be speedier, to be quicker, to be more efficient. And this is something most people don't want to hear, but we need tax incentives for developers to take risk and get these properties on the market. We need it. So I understand it. In theory, people say tax the rich, but in practicality, I think developers need more incentives to build and do the government's job of providing homes and getting it onto the market so that we can reduce this pent-up demand by increasing supply. We have to get to a place where we encourage investments. Any country that restricts investment, dissuades investment, will suffer the consequences. Now, that's not a threat. I mean, who am I? But there will be massive financial impact. Instead of taxing landlords into extinction, which makes a lot of people happy, but they haven't considered the full circle picture. Why not offer landlords tax breaks for long-term rental investments? Because at the end of the day, landlords are making money, and if that money is all going to tax, what is the point of buying the property in the first place and enduring what you have to go through as a landlord in order to hold that property? Why not offer landlords tax breaks so we can offset the rental income versus the taxes you would pay? If you look at countries like Germany, they have a thriving rental market because they actively encourage institutional investors as opposed to trying to push them out. The UK seems to be, we need landlords, we need developers, we need property investors, but let's push them out, which creates this forever dance battle between landlords, tenants, and the government. Number three, we've got to figure out a way to make home ownership easier. Right now, trying to buy a home for the average person seems like an uphill battle. We need to scrap or completely reduce stamp duty for first-time buyers. We need to scrap it for investors or reduce it completely for investors also. And we need actual schemes that benefit first-time buyers, not just schemes that benefit developers. Many of these government schemes that they pretend will be helping first-time buyers get on the market are really designed to help either the government look like they're hitting targets or help developers put more money in their pockets. Things like the Help to Buy scheme was a farce. I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Should the UK government squeeze the life out of landlords with more taxes, or are there other ways in which we can help solve this housing crisis? Hey guys, if you get any value from this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below.